Hello, everybody.
Today I want to try and go into kids' records for the first time since doing the Disney stuff, I think. I do have other kids' records. Kids' records are fascinating, interesting, and often weird. They can be a lot of fun, and they're not always easily found in the best of shape because if well loved, they don't always survive. I'm not presenting a particularly rare one today, but I'm presenting one that you might enjoy and kind of get a kick out of. This is the second of two Space 1999 story records based on the teleseries that was kind of capitalizing on the success of Star Trek, I suppose. Very interesting album. There were two of these again. The first one actually had the pilot story episode. I'm not sure how many of the stories on these are actually derivative of episodes. I have a feeling that it's probably kind of like the Star Trek albums, just that one because they wanted to do a setup of how they got where they are, but the rest of the stories are likely original.
The front has stills from the show with Barbara Bain and Martin Landau, who were also famous on Mission Impossible, front and center, and a lot of amazing pictures on the back as well. Of course, none of the original cast appear on this album. It features 4 original stories. One is a bit fantabiblical in nature. The other 3 are more straight up sci-fi. Not a lot is known about the cast that worked on Peter Pan's dramatization records. We know that Peter Fernandez worked on it, who was a popular voice actor in film animation, typically of the dubbed variety, working on anime, most notably Speed Racer. He in fact had a cameo as a sportscaster in the Speed Racer live action film, and also worked on Godzilla, a couple of Godzilla films. I'm not sure which ones, I'd have to research that further, as well as providing some voice work for the English language version of Mario Bava's Planet of the Vampires. So he had a pretty extensive career. Also Elliot Lewis, who was a longtime actor in old-time radio. Elliot Lewis had worked on the Phil Harris and Alice Faye show, on Burns and Allen, and on Jack Benny. So he had a pretty extensive career and also appeared on a number of melodramas and thrillers such as The Whistler and The Witch's Tale in various episodes. So they apparently had a cast of people that they could pull from that were professional. They didn't always sound accurately like the cast from the television productions they were casting, but it worked out well. Sometimes they were more accurate than others. And if you go backward further in Power Records history, when they were doing a lot of superhero stuff and a lot of Hanna-Barbera animation stuff with their storyteller records, they sometimes were actually able to get original casts. So people like Casey Kasem and Mel Blanc have appeared on their records.
Usually their label is identified by the little power mark there. They would put custom little all high contrast artwork on the labels for their storyteller albums. And these albums run unusually long. They typically will have 3 or 4 stories on them. So they're kind of low in volume because they'll have a very fine, very tight groove in order to be able to cram everything on there.
Now, I haven't had the chance to check out the first Space 1999 LP that Power Records produced. I know that the Star Trek LPs that they put out are actually pretty smart sometimes for kids' age. Alan Dean Foster, the author of the Star Trek novels, did a lot of work on those, and there are some really great stories there. If this one for Space 1999 is any indication, it's a bit campy. For one thing, we're calling Noah and the Ark history in the first story instead of mythology. That's just, some people are going to probably up in arms with me on that, but science says no. They have them go through a time warp. They go back in time, and not only do they land in the past where they encounter Noah and people that are basically mocking him for building the ark, and the captain basically stating that they're going to have to get out of there because the planet will not sustain life after 40 days and 40 nights of rain, and declaring that history. This is an issue with Star Trek as well. Why do all these people speak perfect English if this was just a time loop? Because they wouldn't have been speaking English. So it is amusing on that level as well. But it is a fun thing to listen to, and the cast do their best to deliver a really good presentation on it. So it's very, very entertaining. And it is aimed at children, so that's absolutely fine. Anyway, I do think that it's a worthwhile addition to your collection. I absolutely love, adore, cherish Power Records when I encounter them. They're not always the easiest things to find out there. The Star Trek ones are fantastic. I've got a Kojak one. I've had some of the $6 Million Man in the past as well. And they're just a ball. So by all means, if you run across one somewhere, do pick it up. You'll have fun with that. I do not have a lot of kids records outside of Disney stuff, but I am going to try to post one once a month. So do check back for more content like this. See you real soon.